This is Chapter 6 of Unfortunate Citizen. That meeting was such a disaster, yelled Dr. Pisa. I'll be lucky to find a functioning and sealed lagoon to try and connect up to the infrastructure. That is, after the damn war that is starting today. The outburst was directed at General Angelo, who stood across the train car from Dr. Pisa. The car was opulent, carved from flawless wood and stained to a rich dark color. Adorned with inlays of polished metals, it was a work of art from floor to ceiling. Cabinets with old liquor that had been placed as more of a decoration glinted amber light from the windows which lined the walls. This was the royal car of Florence, and thankfully it avoided the occasional vandalism that pro-democracy elements in the city would direct at the royalty. General Angelo took off his small glasses, looked at them, and turned. General Angelo took off his small glasses to look at them, turning the thin wire over in his hands to examine the craftsmanship. It was poor. He drew a long breath, paused briefly, and said, "It's not my war, but I am merely accepting the responsibility of winning it. You know this, and you can't possibly blame me for the politics that you urbanites have let run rampant." He sounded tired of the subject, wearied with the situation altogether. After returning his glasses to his face, he looked at Dr. Pisa. He added in a slow voice, "I assure you there will be no destruction of the lagoon. I have already considered that this is my goal and have planned accordingly." The relief in Dr. Pisa's face was cartoonish, and he finally let out a sigh of relief. He had been so worked up over this debacle that he had not eaten in almost 2 days. Almost like a block in his throat had been removed, he pulled an apple from his coat and started eating it. The general refused to look at him, disgusted. "Well, now that this is settled," said Dr. Pisa with a mouthful, "how about we get to work?" "Yes, let's," said Prince Antonio, who had been sitting comfortably in the corner while the show of the men's bickering had unfolded. He picked up a phone mounted on the wall which led directly to the train engineer and rang for him. Almost instantly a voice came on the line and greeted him. When should we expect arrival at the rendezvous?" asked Antonio. Crackly and quick, the engineer said through the phone, "About 20 minutes until we're there. Current time is 6:37, and that puts us at just before 7 in the morning." Without a word, the phone was returned to its cradle, and the prince looked at his leading men in the operation. He hated that he had someone so unprofessional as the lead engineer, and he feared the man in the uniform of dark brown. But it was his fear that gave him confidence. His history in the less regulated western regions of the habitable zone between Dido and Genoa were impressive and disturbing. "Your army is waiting for you where I said it would be. Should only take you 5 hours to get to the outer limits of the countryside. They will probably stage resistance there, knowing how they operate." "Rules of engagement?" asked the general. "Kill any member of the guard who resists occupation, but not the princess. She is to be taken alive if possible." Face full of lines and perpetually frowning, the general returned his glasses to where he could make out all the men in the car with him. He nodded and said, "Simplicity is good. I will see you in Sicily." This is the end to Chapter 6 of Unfortunate Citizen.